for the second time in just 2 months, the UK government has laid out its legislative agenda. This time around, the situation is, of course, dramatically different. Prime Minister Boris Johnson now has a large majority after last week's snap general election. In a ceremony, the British Queen read off the priorities of the Conservative government. At the top of the list is delivering Brexit. With a clear upper hand, Johnson now has the votes he needs to pass his bill to take his country out of the European Union.
Integrity and prosperity of the United Kingdom. Well,
DW's Barbara Weselow is in London for us. She's been following all the proceedings today. Now, Barbara, as we heard, it's now 2 Queen's speeches within 2 months. What did we hear this time around? Was there anything different?
Of course, the lady had to repeat herself to a certain extent, even though some nuances are quite different in this speech. But she sort of offered a very reduced version of the formal state opening of Parliament because, as you mentioned, she'd just done it 2 months ago. So it was no crown, no carriage, no state robe. It was day dress and just an ordinary car that she drove up here to Parliament, read her speech with that icy intonation we know so well from her, and left again. What for Boris Johnson, the situation, of course, as you mentioned, Carl, has fundamentally changed, because now he can do whatever he wants. In October, he was still flailing around trying to cobble together a majority and figure out what and how to push things through Parliament. Now he can just simply sort of announce a law, and his parliamentarians will follow him because he led the party to that extreme victory, and so nobody will sort of offer him any resistance at all here.
Well, certainly high in that agenda. In fact, the first item in that speech was Brexit. What are the government's plans now for delivering Brexit?
The timetable seems quite clear, and there is no more stopping Boris Johnson. There is no stopping Brexit. That is over. So the 31st of January will see Britain leaving the European Union. The withdrawal bill will be discussed tomorrow on Friday. It will be voted upon. It will go through, and then the road is completely clear. And also, Boris Johnson has sort of changed the bill. He has added a piece that says that it would be illegal to ask for a prolongation next summer in order to have more time in the transition period to negotiate with the European Union. That is an additional piece that makes the timetable for those talks with the EU very tight and very short. He's trying to blackmailing them, but he's also putting himself under pressure.
Now, besides Brexit, there were, of course, other bills in that speech. What do they tell us about the direction of the Johnson government now that he has such a huge majority in Parliament?
He has a huge majority, and he is trying and announcing that he is going to spend a lot of money. The question is, however, where that money is going to come from. It's not really in the budget. That is quite tight, and public borrowing is already sort of increasing. But he needs to, and he wants to spend much more money on the ailing health service, and that is something that these new voters in the north that he took away from Labour, that they are expecting from him. They need changes, and they need more money for public services because they're really hurting. Boris Johnson promised everything. How much of those promises he can keep, we shall see in the next year and the years after, because he's going to be in government now for quite a while.
DW's Barbara Weselow reporting from London for us. Thank you very much.